Hello, I'm Lee from the blog The Little by Little Home, and today I'm going to work on a little project here in the kitchen to bring some coziness to it. Now this project is something I've been thinking about for a little while, and I've decided just to go for it. I've gathered together a couple different things. Some of the things I had to order, but some were found at thrift stores, and I have a vague idea as to what I want to do here. We're just going to kind of see how the project progresses. But my goal is to add a little bit of coziness to this empty wall, the space right here. Now you'll notice that we have open shelving. This project can be done whether you have open shelving or whether you have kitchen cabinets. I did discuss in a previous video and in a couple different blog posts about how we did this makeover and transformed our kitchen by removing the upper cabinets and installing open shelving, and I will link those in the description below. But for today, we're gonna add a little bit of coziness here. One other thing I wanna do is, James was very kind and got me a new set of knives for Christmas or my birthday. I'm not quite sure, I think Christmas, which was really nice. And I didn't realize how bad my knives were until he got me a new set. So thank you, James. However, I had decided a few years ago that I just didn't like taking up counter space with the knife block. And so I had tossed that one and I just stored my knives in my drawer. I don't know if that's what you should do or not. Probably technically not, but we're not gonna worry about that rule. What I've decided is I still don't like having the knife block here. I prefer a countertop that is cleared, and I mean, obviously when we cook and everything it gets really messy, but when it's not messy and we're not cooking, I prefer there not to be a lot of stuff on the counter. So I'm going to change that up and have the knives accessible, but not on the counter. These countertops and the very small little backsplash that we have were here we moved in. We do have plans on changing that out and maybe adding a higher backsplash, but it's not quite in the budget yet. So this is kind of my temporary, add a little bit of coziness to the space and just something maybe a little bit unexpected. So the first thing that we're gonna do is, told you about the knives. We are going to add a magnetic knife strip, and I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna put it on this wall right here or the wall right here. I'm gonna kind of play around a little bit with it. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some photo frames, and I haven't quite decided on the prints that I'm gonna do. I do have two, and it would be like something I would change out seasonally. These are just old that I had found in a thrift store frame many years ago. So I'm not quite sure if I'll do these. I have two small frames. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna do 5x7s or if I will do larger ones. I think these are 8x10s. These pictures are obviously smaller, would fit better in a 5x7, but I can kind of make up my own sort of mat, or I can check online and find some other type of print that I want instead. I don't know, we're gonna wait and see, but these frames are not going to look like this when they're hung up, so let's get to work on that. So the first thing that I did was to play around a little bit with the placement, and I'm pretty sure I decided on using the larger frames. The two smaller ones would look really, they would look cute if they could be right like above and below each other somewhere, but I don't know. I just feel like it might feel a little bit too cluttered if I do that and one larger one. So I think I'm gonna stick with the two larger, the two 8x10s, and I think I'm going to put this right here, mostly because if I put it right back over here, I always store the cutting boards back here, and I'm going to keep a jar for the utensils right there. And so to get the cutting boards out, so I'm just trying to think of like how, I don't want this to be annoying. I know that sometimes we can create really pretty spaces in our homes, but it just doesn't function very well. So again, I'm looking for functional beauty. I want Next up is to work on the picture frames. I specifically chose out 2 that are wood because I wanted to use a gel stain. If you've never used gel stain, it's fantastic. It is different than an actual wood stain because the gel stain is thicker and it will cover up and will change the color or the natural tone that the wood would have. Now the 2 frames that I picked do have different grains, they do have a different base, but I don't need them to be matchy-match. So that's okay for me if they look a little bit different. But I wanted to bring a little bit more warmth, make them look a little less cheap than they did currently because I got out of the thrift store, but I'm sure that before that they weren't very expensive anyway. So what I did was apply some gel stain. I first tried nutmeg and it didn't bring the darkness of the natural stain that was on there already up enough. So what I did was I added a layer of Java, and it really brought up one of the frames way too dark. So I wiped some of that off and then applied another coat of the nutmeg. I'm gonna let it sit for a while, about 15 minutes or so, and then wipe off any of the excess, let it completely dry, and then I can go ahead and add my prints to it and get it hung up on the wall. Gel stain is a really neat product. I've used it here at this house and in our farmhouse. I use it on another frame and it brought out just a really pretty tone for that. And I will list that blog post in the description below. I also used it on our banister. The banister is really neat here in this house, and I'm pretty sure it's original to the house when it was built in the early 1900s, and it just needed some love. It had been really worn down. The gel stain will cover up nicks and scratches and fill in those parts that maybe the stain has been scratched off, and it just adds a deepness and a richness to it. If you were to put just a plain stain on it, it wouldn't really make any type of difference. Stain is meant for a raw wood and you want to add a color to it. Beyond that, I prefer to use a gel stain to bring in a different color to it. Every wood is going to have a natural tone that it's going to have, and if it's like a red wood, it's going to have more of an orange tone to it. Sometimes you can't change it too much. A gel stain will be your secret to changing it a little bit more than it would be if you just were to put a stain on it. Now that the frames are done, they've been cleaned up, they've been stained, I have new prints put in them, it's time to hang them up on the wall here and create a cozy corner in our kitchen. Trick I've learned when it comes to putting nails into a plaster wall is to mark your spot and then use a piece of masking tape just over the area, a little bit larger than where you're going to put the nail in, and then go ahead and hammer in the nail over the masking tape. I really don't know why it works, but it does work, so that if ever you do take that nail out, it will not pull the plaster and crack the plaster or anything like that. You can pull the nail out, take the tape off, and all you have to do at that point is patch up the hole and not have to fix the plaster. I am absolutely thrilled with how this cozy little corner has turned out. It didn't take much time and the cost of it was really low. Basically, I just needed to buy the magnetic knife holder, and the frames were ones that I had picked up recently at the thrift store. And the prints are, as you saw, just from a book. Whenever I go to a thrift store or a yard sale, I try to look for and pick up any books that may contain multiple pages of artwork. It's really easy then. All you have to do is rip it out of the book, cut it to size, and put it into the frame and hang it up. It's a great way to purchase budget-friendly artwork. Thanks for stopping by today and checking out this cozy corner that I created in our kitchen. If you could hit that like button, I would be so thankful, and feel free to go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.